All right. Hey. You've got another episode here. Why don't you kind of introduce yourself and kind of like what your role is and we'll get cranking on the interview.
Sure. Hi, I'm Alicia Franck. I'm the team leader of Keller Williams Marquis in Edwardsville, Illinois. I'm also the rainmaker of Frank Realty, and I'm the vice president of Keller Williams Young Professionals for the St. Louis chapter.
Okay. Wow, you're busy.
Yes. And a mom and a chauffeur and, all of those
And a
wonderful
mom.
things.
Okay. How many kids do
Yeah.
you have?
I have two little boys. They are in that young education, grade school age. So they're busy with sports and school just started. So
Wow. How do you keep yourself organized with all that going?
Um, I get asked that a lot. And when I look at it, I think it's chaos. And everyone else who looks at it thinks it's super, super organized. And I'm like, well, if it looks good to you, I guess I get a gold star for that. Honestly, it's just making sure that the kiddos are first and then everything else is after that. So
Gotcha. All right. Well, why don't can you give us like just a little bit of a background before you got into real estate and then kind of like how your real estate career has been going?
sure, absolutely. So I knew from the fourth grade that I wanted to be a marine biologist. So that was my goal, was to go all the way through my master's and be a marine biologist. I was going to go study the oceans and mating trails and all kinds of crazy things, right? And then being a military kid, we moved quite a bit. Gosh, I've lived internationally. I like to say I'm from Texas, but really we just were nomadic in nature being in the military, right? And then I went through college and I got my bachelor's of science and crammed everything into 4 years of college to walk out with, a hyper specialized dissertation, if you will. And then I was extremely burnt out. And it was in 2011 when I graduated college. And so there were not a lot of science jobs being given out or even hired right after the, economic crash of 2008. So I just went into the working world. I worked for Family Video and Bank of America. And on the weekends, I would work at Starbucks just to, keep myself busy. Post college, it's like, what do you do when there's not a lot of hiring going on, right? And so, also outside of college, I met a boy and got married and had kids, and then ended up in Illinois. So then in Illinois, life changes happened and became divorced and had to figure out how am I going to take care of myself and my kids. And while working at Family Video, actually, so many people would say, you need to get into real estate. You'd be really good for it. And I was like, well, that would be a big joke. Have a degree in water, but then turn around and sell land. That would be tagline. And then I said, hey, why not? Right. Because I was a single mom taking care of, I don't like using single. I was an independent mom taking care of two kids. And I needed to figure out and not live between Pampers and bologna, right? Like, what are we buying today? Because it wasn't enough, right? So I asked my dad to borrow some money and took those real estate classes. And then it's been ever since. I fell in love with it even more so than my childhood passion of being a marine biologist. When I first came into the industry, I was on a team and I was a buyer's agent. My first year, I did 26 transactions, right around 2.5 million. And then within a year, I was hungry, right? I was like, this is not it. Like, we are not that it wasn't enough, but I was ready for like, what's the next thing? I want to do listings, I want to make marketing. And you really, when you're specialized on a team like that, that's maybe not your place, right? So then 2 weeks before COVID became COVID, I said, okay, I'm going to go independent. I'm going to be a single agent. And then COVID happened. And I had a panic moment. I'm like, okay, buckle down. This is where, you got to pull up your britches and you just got to get it done. And then October of that year, through being present in my market center and getting out and being part of YP and developing a team because I was just pounding pavement. My kids were with me at open houses. We were knocking on doors. I was like, we're going to go real old school with this. Okay. We're going to get really in front of people to build my business. I quickly then was asked to be part of a member of leadership in my market center and became the assistant team leader. And then that year we closed 35 transactions, right around 5.5 million. And then the following year, so in 2021, full developed team, admin, 2 buyers agents, also being the assistant team leader in my market center. I closed 47 transactions at 9.5 million. And then this year, I'm officially the team leader, still rocking and rolling on the Franck Realty, and we are slated to hit 9 million again this year, which is kind of our sweet spot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you gave us a really good timeline real quick. How long were you on that very first team?
For about a year. I did a full year contract. Mm-hmm.
So this is about 4 years now-ish, full time?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then, so let's talk a little bit about the assistant team lead and the team lead transition and really we can get into some of the things that help agents, but what, first and foremost, what do you like about it the most?
Sure. So I have always been an educator by nature. If I could be a student the rest of my life and then funnel that into taking big complex ideas and then making them simple so that anyone can learn and make it tangible, that is my niche, right? And so when I get the opportunity to get a young agent or even an agent who just has been in the business and needs the opportunity to see something a little differently, or maybe it's just not been quite presented to them where they can grasp on it, that aha moment for me, or that light bulb moment, is where I thrive. Like, yes, okay, so what's next for you now that you get it? And then helping them build the system. I'm a very operations-based person. So getting them the steps that they need so that they can execute it and then come back. And it's not about accolades for me, but seeing them say, oh my gosh, my business has changed dramatically, or what else can I be doing? Or finding that opportunity where they're hungry. I mean, gosh, I was doing that for free. And thank God my business partner, now OP Ginger Blasting Game, was like, why don't you actually get paid for this? So those are my favorites, is really watching an agent grasp onto it and then running with it.
So how do you grasp it and run on it? Now, Caleb obviously can't be here. He's on a flight.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, the two of you were talking about just exploring opportunities. And like, how do you, what's your approach on that? And how has that been apparently I can't talk now. How has it been beneficial for your business?
Yeah, so it's actually a really great question. So I see too often that agents get in the business and it's just natural evolution, right? You get in the business, you just invested all of this money in yourself, or maybe someone you borrowed some money from, right, to take the class, and you got to buy the board fees, and you're just thinking, and oh my goodness, now I've got to get a damn paycheck. What am I going to do, right? And so when it comes to opportunities, that first year I was on my own as a single agent. And even while I was a little bit on the team, I was ruthless. And what I don't want it to seem like this is about me, but what about what other agents could be doing, especially while our market is shifting, right? Is getting out there and doing the things that other agents won't do. Meaning, if they're not going to host their open house, you better be the agent that they're calling. Hey, I know you have a great, successful open house. Go do it. Or if we had a Facebook page where an agent was like, I need someone to run signs, or I need someone to go door knock for me. I was always that agent, because I knew in that opportunity, not taking away from what would have been that agent's marketing, I too could turn around and also be doing my own marketing while I'm out, right? So I really just became the agent who was willing to do the things that other agents wouldn't, which would be like doing the showings for other agents or doing the open houses. Or, there was a big push for us to just, like I said, pound the pavement and just start doing door knocking or showing up at coffee shops and getting your name out there, because it is a natural evolution for an agent to think, oh my gosh, what is lead generation? Why do I have to keep picking up the phone? Or, oh my gosh, I have to spend a whole day figuring out where I'm going to go, what route I'm going to take to talk to these people, or even just, some people are just not comfortable talking to other people. But I knew that I had 2 children to take care of, right? I needed the income or else I was going to fail. And so when it came to opportunities, I was always looking for the space of where can I be of service such that I can provide my expertise, right? That quickly then became, hey, Alicia, you're really good at open houses. Can you come teach what it is that you do that makes your open houses successful? So then I started teaching, right? And then that turned into, hey, you're really good at just educating and coaching in general. Why don't you become the assistant team leader and also just coach and train agents, brand agnostically, where it's not just a KW or it's not just a Remax agent. It's anyone who is wanting to be in real estate. And so those opportunities to say I raised my hand for, no, they were presented to me because of my natural abilities. And so when you asked about being open-minded to opportunities, it's recognizing that real estate isn't just about deals to closings. It's recognizing that you have a natural talent, and whatever your natural talent is, that's what you should be maximizing and creating a business around. So I have a mentor, her name's Karen Prawl, and she is awesome about systems and models and marketing and connecting people. Her biggest strength is connecting people, that she's created a whole business around that, right? Or if you're someone like Caleb, who's extremely successful and has the backing or the financial backing that now he's putting buckets in other areas in real estate, that aren't just transactions or home sales, maybe even vendor related, really explore some of those business opportunities, right? I have a business partner on the Missouri side, and because of being in Keller Williams Young Professionals, we were able to connect, realize that we had the same business model, if you will, and the trust between us. Now we refer business back and forth such that opportunity wouldn't have been created if I wouldn't have said yes to Keller Williams Young or any other networking opportunity. So when it comes to opportunities, it's not just limiting yourself to picking up the phone and getting to a closing. It's, okay, so does this person in front of me that I'm providing a service to also have another opportunity for me outside of just this real estate transaction?
I think there's a lot of wisdom with what you just said. Even like a real estate professional that's, man, you know how to write a contract and everything's dialed in. There's successful agents that started a transaction management or transaction coordination company.
Correct.
I love what you said there. There's just so many different ways that you can spin it, and having that self-awareness is really important. And knowing you can match it too. If you don't want a cold call because that just petrifies you, well, find something else. go to an in-person event if you're okay with talking to people in person.
Right.
You can get creative. So let's circle back. You said something that was super important, and you just kind of were listening and you brushed over it really quickly. So you said, hey, I had 2 children I had to feed, so I was going to do anything and everything to make sure that this worked. That's my words. I don't think you said that exactly. Yeah. Can you tell me more about that why and kind of elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I think that's really important. Hey guys, for those of you that are local to St. Louis, I wanted to make sure you knew about an amazing resource that we have to help do some extra deals. You can email our team at deals@3doors.com And just so you know, we do deals with other investors all the time. Like, it's been hundreds and hundreds over the years, and we've averaged over 100 deals with other investors per year for over the last 5 years. We can straight up buy the deal if if you have a wholesale under contract that you want to sell. If you need funding to finance a flip, or like you're doing a burst strategy, we have funding available for you. If you're trying to wholesale a deal, we're doing JV wholesale deals with other wholesalers that, quite frankly, some of the deals we're putting together for a beginner or an intermediate investor, they'd probably be walking away from, because we have systems and processes, and we have buyers in place that are paying top dollar for these properties. So make sure you use this resource. And the best way to get and the easiest way is to just send us an email, deals@3doors.com. All right, back to the episode. Can you tell me more about that why and kind of elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I think that's really important.
Sure, absolutely. So there is a stigma that comes along with being a single mother or a single parent in general. It doesn't have to be just on the mother's side. And I have a great relationship with their father. We chose not to do child support or alimony, but even in my own character, I didn't want to depend on that, right? I wanted my children to be able to see that each parent could stand on their own and still support their children, right? And I went from living in a tiny 2-bedroom house that maybe wasn't in the greatest area because it's all I could afford after the divorce, right? And my children were really young at that time. I mean, it was just us for a long time. And I mean, there were days that I was like, okay, we've got like $15. We got to get some food in the house, and the youngest needs diapers, right? How are we gonna do this? And so, I mean, even for a stint, I did Uber, right? Because it helped immediate money in between closings, and I was learning how to write contracts. And I just knew that I didn't want that life for my kids. And I didn't want them to have to make those tough decisions between this or that. Now, they're older. I make them choose between a lot of things, right? You have to make choices in life. But it was my driver of like, we're not going to keep living like this. And I really want my children to see that you can build a business, right? It had never been done in my family. My family is, ranchers and farmers from Texas. And my dad was in the military. So, just those down home American roots, if you will. And I really wanted something that my children would be proud of. So seeing them every day was, okay, we're going to have a goal. We're going to have a financial goal. We're going to set up how many calls we're going to make to make this financial goal. And I really just put myself out there to make sure that they were taken care of. Right.
Wow. Clarity gives you so much power, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Like
yes.
It's do this open house, or my kids aren't going to do this open house, or I'm not going to be able to provide the home that I want for my kids to grow up in.
Yeah. And you asked me a question about my organization with it. My first year by myself was a little messy. My kids went with me on showings. My kids went with me to open houses. Like, it was just us, right? I was moved to Illinois, had no family there. Like, we were just trying to figure out where our stakehold was. Like, where are we going to land, And there were times that I sold houses because my children were there. And in fact, I sold a house specifically at an open house because the lady said she could see her grandchildren playing in the backyard. And I was like, great, sign right here.
As your kids are playing in the backyard.
Right, absolutely. So that's just where, and there's a finesse to it, right? You kind of feel out your buyer, even the seller, and if they're not comfortable with it. I mean, man, technology is great. I'm not condoning this. This is just my reality. You lock the car, you give them the iPads, you leave the AC on, and you've got your phone on Zoom so you could watch your kids through your car, right? Like that was the reality of it. And then, same thing for COVID. You can't have them around each other. And like I said, I don't condone that for everybody. It was just my reality. But it was a really interesting time of just making sure we got that income. And then I think that's really what drove us to, I got myself out of debt and we bought a house and my children go to a great school now. And it was just that progression of it's going to be a little tough for a couple of years. And I got the lighting is wonderful. Okay. Like I got some natural lighting Botox going on over here, but there was some sleepless nights of staying up till, 2 a.m. and getting stuff ready for the open house or writing contracts. It wasn't always beautiful, but it's now the life by design, if you will, is okay. Now I know I have a consistent referral based business that I can take my kids on vacation, and we're not living in that tiny 2-bedroom house anymore. And we live virtually debt free. Everybody's got a credit card or two, especially for flyer miles, things like that. Right. But we don't live in that space anymore of diapers or meals. Right.
So real quick with that, I mean, you mentioned that you knew you were going to be in that state of building for quite some time. So it's intriguing because Jim and I have talked a lot about this in the past. There's some books really well written about, trying to enjoy the journey as opposed to trying to focus on that I guess the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. Sure. So what did help you get through that, and what did you tell yourself really at the onset? Like, did you say, "Hey, it's going to take this much time," or did you give yourself, "Hey, this is the journey"? How did you focus on that?
Your question actually, I don't have a beautiful answer for it. I knew I just had to do it. I didn't have a time space in mind. I will go back and say, so I bought my house a year ago, and a year before that, our office did a vision board. And I live on the side of science. Like my brain doesn't work well with artsy. It doesn't understand it. In fact, we're staying at this hotel that is very artsy, and I'm like, I don't get it. So, but that something about that vision board and the activity of what do you want your next year to look like? I remember putting on there a house, and if you believe or don't believe in manifestation or the action of making up in your mind, this is what's going to happen. I had a coach who said, okay, well, what kind of house would you need and how much would it cost? And because we took the theory of the vision board and we put it into action. So to say, based on your question, I had it all planned out when it was happening. I didn't. I was that agent who was trying to just get calls to closings, because the evolution of an agent is to just make the money first. And then once you feel that breath, right, it is then getting into the space of, okay, wait, how do I make this purposeful? How do I make this actually a business so that I don't live in chaos? Because again, being on the science side, the operations side of things, I don't do well in chaos, right? Even though when I look at my calendar, I feel like it's always chaos. And then everyone says it looks super organized. So I don't believe that.
So then a follow-up question, then how did you successfully go from maybe not having a defined and clear path, at least one that was well thought out from the get-go, you knew you were going to get it. How did you not fall into the trap of, okay, I did 20, I think it was 27 and 46 and 46 and 5 million to 9 million to 9 million. How did you fall into the trap of, hey, I got this large paycheck and I'm going to go spend it on X? How did you decide to save, and what did you do there? Because clearly you did, based on your ability to buy the home.
Yes. So our office bought us a gift, the Dave Ramsey School. And I grew up in a household where we didn't talk about money. And I just got really real with myself of, I don't know how to save. I don't know what this looks like. My parents, they're from the old school days of like, well, we got $10, we're going to go get a pack of cigarettes, right? Like things like that. to where I started with the Dave Ramsey course that was provided to us by our office. And then I talked to several financial planners, and I was like, talk to me like I'm a kindergartner. Like, let's just start there. And then that progressively became, college fund for kids, life insurance, a SEP IRA, things that would develop for the future. That financial planner actually showed me how, especially through the process of, we took a class that was called Bold, but it also teaches you the business model of how to make your business purposeful, right? You talked about clarity. It gives you that clarity of the activities you need to do each day and holds you extremely accountable to it. Then taking those activities, providing them to my financial advisor, and him going through all of my credit cards and student loan debt and being like, this is what you need to contribute each time, right? I knew I wasn't the expert. I wasn't going to play dumb about it. Even in real estate, I am the local expert, but I am not the 100% expert. I'm going to mastermind. I'm going to reach out. Okay, who knows more than I do? And I'm going to go talk to them, right? Even when it comes to Caleb, if I have a question about investment or anything like that, he's the first person I call. Okay, give me a rundown on what this means, right? But it was a lot of education. It was a lot of sitting down and finding the right people. And I really want to highlight that, finding the right person, because you find the right person who's we're all in a business, we're all in a sales opportunity. So if you're hooking up with someone and they're just trying to sell you something without actually teaching you, that's not the person you want to be with. The person that's going to stay with you and is going to educate you about what's changing, what's happening even in the stock market, so you're getting in the right investment product, that's really where you want to sit. And for any agent, if you're working with a vendor that isn't educating you first, that's not the vendor for you.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about the who, not the what.
Right. Absolutely.
So here's an interesting question. We're getting on time here. That's something I always like to ask. You've been through a lot.
Sure.
If you could give yourself one piece of advice when you're just starting out, what would be the most important thing to tell yourself?
Myself? Oh, man. There were a lot of times that I wish I would have looked up. I was so down, like head down, get it done, keep going, that I would have burned. I ended up burning myself out at one point. And as much as I just gave this beautiful story about having my kids involved, it really was the only way that I got to spend time with my children, until I learned how to time manage, right? Until I learned the confidence of telling people when my work hours were. And I had the confidence of saying, this is when I operate, my assistant takes over, right? It would be to look up, make sure you're putting your phone away. At one point, I'm wearing it now because I know how to control it, but it was a time that even the pinging on my watch was giving me like hives. And so because I was so hell-bent on making sure I got the next deal so that I could feed my kids and pay out and do all these things in a short amount of time. Now, though, it is great. It is very well oiled. I wish I would have learned that sooner.
That's powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
All right. That's a wrap, guys.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. And then
thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
It's great.
If anyone wants to reach out, I'm happy to chat and mentor as well. So
what's a good way to reach out? What's a good email or phone number or whatnot?
Sure. So my phone number is 620-262-5372, and email is aliciafrank@kw.com. So if you're thinking about real estate or wanting to jump into real estate, or heck, if you're just a parent who needs to talk about being a parent and owning a business, I'm here for that too. So ALICIA Frank with a CK @kw.com. So
all right,
thank you guys.
Thanks for coming on. That's a wrap, guys. For additional resources, go to doorstodeals.com. And don't forget, we're already generating over $186,000 per month in passive income for people in our world. And we're just getting started, and we can help you out as well. So if you want to grow your passive income, we have multiple options available. The first step is for us to get to know each other better. Give us a call or send us over a text message at 314-310-4886 to get started. And finally, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock doors to deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.